broadcasting live from 1000 North Prince Street in Lancaster, home of Rominger Law Offices in our Lancaster location, but it's also the Coldwell Banker Select Professionals building. And I'm going to give those guys another shout-out again because they're kind of helping us host this whole thing. And if you need a realtor anywhere in central Pennsylvania, you need to get a hold of them. You just look them up, Coldwell Banker Select Professionals. We'll have another one of their realtors back on in a little bit to give you some more contact information. But if you can't figure out how to get a hold of them, you just get a hold of me and I'll put you in touch with them. Also, we've got our financial guru here, Mark Virginis. Mark.
How you doing, Carl?
Good. You got to eat that microphone. That's what they got. That's what Bob Durgan always says. Eat the microphone.
All right, I got it right now.
All right, Mark, I wanted to talk to you about the debt ceiling. I guess the theory is right now that the federal government is about to run out of ability to borrow money.
Right. And if you don't mind, let me give my little disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, give us...
You
okay,
being the lawyer and all, I thought you appreciate this.
Blah, 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 blah.
So let me just give you this. I'm an investment advisor representative offering securities and advisory services through Financial Network Investment Corporation. Member SIPC, Mirus Financial Partners, and Financial Network are not affiliated. As I said, I'm president of Mirus Financial Partners here in Lancaster.
And I like to make fun of his disclaimer, but as you know, I have a disclaimer at the beginning of my show, so I probably shouldn't say anything. All right, Mark, what's going on with this debt ceiling?
With the debt ceiling, first and foremost, Fox website has a really good article. It's called The 7 Myths of the Debt Ceiling. You might want to check that out. It's called 7 Myths. Just do a search for 7 Myths once you get on Fox News website. And it's very well written. And the first thing I want to point out to folks is, because there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of pundits weighing in on this, including myself. But essentially, if we do not raise the debt ceiling by some certain date and time, all that means is we cannot borrow more. We can make our interest payments. So anything outstanding debt, we have the receipts, we have the revenue to make those payments. So what not raising the debt ceiling means that the Obama administration, Congress, and such cannot go out and float more debt and pay for additional programs. That's simply what it means. And quite frankly, there's been 7 different times throughout our history, including the last one was September of 07. Happened to Clinton back in 95, going into January 96, when the government shut down. That was another time we had to raise the debt ceiling and so forth. So this has happened before. We've been to this movie before. It's just we haven't had 14.3 trillion of debt on the heels of Greece, on the heels of everybody else. So it's getting a lot more attention than it usually did.
Now, my theory is, if I have a Visa card and I call Visa and I ask for hey, I want to buy a new TV, so I need a little bit more credit limit, they raise it. But at a certain point, Visa says, no, Carl, you can't borrow any more money because we've done the numbers, and if you keep borrowing money, you'll never pay us back.
That's correct. That's a very good analogy, extremely good analogy. And that's why S&P, Moody's, and some of the other rating agencies are looking at the U.S. debt, and they're saying, you're not curbing your spending, you're not raising your taxes to gain more revenue, so therefore we're going to start taking a different outlook on the ability for you to pay back your debt.
And I also assume if you keep rolling debt over and over and over again, it just keeps growing rather than, we're not making our minimum payment right now on our credit card, right?
Exactly. And if you think about if you had a mortgage and you had 10 years left to pay on your mortgage, and you said, oh, wait a minute, I'll refinance, I'll stretch it out to 15. I have a lower payment, but I got to bite off 5 more years of payment. So you said, okay, I'll do that, but now you just bought off 5 more years of debt. And who knows what those 5 years or what the future holds. So, when we roll over debt or we refinance the debt or we issue more debt and fold it into this debt and so forth and so on, we just keep on making it for the next generation.
The other thing that I thought was the biggest scam in the world is the president saying, okay, I will only settle for a long-term deal, but correct me if I'm wrong, but all these long-term deals mean is we're going to cross a budget this year that presumes we're going to pass a budget a certain way over the next number of years, but there's no requirement after year 1 that year 2, 3, 4, or 5 follow whatever was claimed in year 1.
That's my understanding as well, because Congress can do what Congress wants to do.
Which means when the president claims that he's beating down the Republicans for a bigger deal because it's longer, that's actually a lie. If he were to be truthful, he should say we should make big changes in the present year because that is the big change. That's the real change that actually sticks.
And that's what gets back to the rhetoric, too. We should lead as the United States, #1 economy in the world, we should lead on this. We should send a message to Greece, all the other, what I call the pigs, the Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Germany, Spain, which has been in the news quite. We should lead on this and tell the rest of the world, this is how you handle your problems. This is how you handle the sovereignty. This is how you get your house in order. We should lead on this.
So, what does this mean for me? Should I be buying stocks, selling stocks, buying gold? What am I? What's the? What does this debt ceiling really mean anything to the average investor?
Well, in an effort not to get me in trouble with my compliance people, I will say every situation is different. Every investor is different. They could be going into retirement, early on in their stage of life and investing in 401k, what have you. But in a nutshell, if I had to make a blanket statement, as you said, watch the bond market. When the 10-year Treasury will tell you if you need to get worried. And right now, it's not worried. It's not really worried about this debt ceiling. In the end, it's almost like the credit market saying, is this political? You guys are fighting back and forth, but the 10-year Treasury really isn't creeping up as much as it should be.
And I've kind of thought that maybe part of the problem is, too, that if they expand the debt ceiling, everybody will be happy in one level because things will continue as they are. But if they don't expand the debt ceiling, it'll force some sort of austerity measures, which will make everybody happy anyhow.
Right. There's a segment of the economy, segment of the political realm that wants significant cuts, whether it be to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, any type of payments whatsoever. They want them to be cut to get our spending under control. To go back to your last point, your last question, what should they be doing? Right now, I'm a big believer in stocks, dividend-paying stocks for that matter. If you need income, that's someplace you should really take a look. The bond market's not giving you the yield, it's not giving you the income, not the income you're used to. And I think, quite frankly, with the possibility of inflation coming back, you actually have interest rate risk as opposed to with stocks you have stock risk. So I would advise a lot of my clients to have an overweight to stock than the bond, because I think there's more risk in the credit market right now than in a stock market.
And you said something smart earlier, which is everybody's situation is a little different. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you and go say, hey, Mark, how does this apply to me in my own personal life, how are they going to get a hold of you? Besides coming to 1000 North Prince Street and meeting you in person for about the next hour or so.
And the hot dogs were delicious, too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So you should stop down. But also, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm right here in Lancaster City. Phone number is 509-4521, or you can shoot me an email, Mark, M-A-R-K, at mirrorsfinancialpartners.com, or hit my website, mirrorsfinancialpartners.com, and you can email me through there. Mirrors is spelled M as a Mark, I-R-U-S.
All right. Hey, thanks, Mark. I got to go to break here, but before I do, let me take a caller. Mike, are you still holding, Mike?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, what's going on?
About a year and a half ago, my mom passed away, and I was the executor of the will, and we went through probate, and now I'm getting letters and things like that. It looks like she still has maybe one, maybe two more, either investments or insurance that wasn't taken care of.
Okay.
What do I do at this point to take care of if there is money to take care of it legally?
Usually, if you came to see me, we would reopen the estate and move the money around as appropriate under the will or the laws of intestacy, and then file a revised tax return.
Okay. Very good.
Not too complicated. We can, absolutely.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Thank you. I got to go to break. Take care. All right, 540-0580. Guys, I'll see you after. Hey, welcome back. Carl Rominger broadcasting live from 1000 North Prince Street here in Lancaster. Hey, come on down, get a hot dog. A bunch of people have been through. I'd say we've probably had 17,000 people stop by so far, and it's been extraordinary. Really, it has. Now, we didn't have quite that many people, but we've had people here, and we're having a good time. We had R.J. Harris here. We got Holly Love here. We got some cool WHP giveaways. And here comes one of our listeners with a question. You got to eat that microphone. You got to literally, like, you see how close I am to it? You can't be shy. It won't bite. It'll probably fall over, but it won't bite.
Hi.
All right. What's your name and what's your question?
My name's Jeff, and I have a question in regards to a real estate investment deal that I got involved with. Make a long story short, we agreed with the program. The promoter and the contractor involved never fulfilled their part of the deal. Cost me quite a bit of money to finish the job to get it to a finished completion, and I'm trying to find out. I understand the company has gone bankrupt, and I'm wondering if there's any way to recoup any of the additional costs that I have involved.
Now, and I'm gonna give a little confession here. I know a little bit about this because we've already talked about it. So, I think the most important thing that issue for you is, generally speaking, if you did business with a company that went bankrupt, you're on the short end of the stick and you're stuck. However, if the company did something that was a consumer protection or a unfair trade practice or other fraudulent type activity, the bankruptcy may not protect them. Number two, you may be able to pierce the corporate veil if it's an LLC or a corporation. If you can show that some of the fraudulent acts, for instance, weren't simply by the company but by its principals or people in it, and reach them individually and pierce that veil, you may be able to reach their personal assets. So probably the next step for you at this point would be for us to hunt down who the individuals who own the company are and figure out if they are married, if they have assets, what their personal pictures look like. I'm betting if they were quasi-legitimate business people that they did everything they could to try to save their business, and if they did, they probably personally bankrupt themselves in saving the business, or in this case, not saving the business. On the other hand, if they're charlatans and shysters, we're probably going to discover that they knew from the beginning that they were shielding themselves and keeping their personal wealth and drawing out of the company, and then hopefully there'll be something to go after.
Okay, good. There is some cases as far as I know, a potential insurance fraud involved and burglaries and all that type of thing, as those were excuses that were given as to why it wasn't finished.
And that's a whole separate realm. If we can get to the criminal courts, you may be able to get criminal restitution. And criminal restitution is a little more powerful because it's never dischargeable in bankruptcy, and the criminal court maintains a constant authority to force that person to at least make monthly payments. However, I'm sure there's some listeners out there who've received what we call restitution in a criminal case, and unfortunately it usually comes in dribs and drabs, not in large amounts.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But you and I are going to be talking off the air, and we'll see where we go next. I think I'm going to have you sit down with Steve Schneider in my office.
Okay, thanks.
All right, hey, thank you. I know we got another person here, and then we're going to take some more callers in a second. We've got one more live listener here who's got a question. Come on over. Don't be shy. It won't bite. You grab that chair and just grab that microphone and you eat the microphone. Everybody keeps hearing me say that, but the hardest thing to get used to, because you guys know I'm just a lawyer and I had to get used to this radio thing. You have to literally get your mouth right by the microphone. You don't want to be shy. All right.
Okay.
What's your name and what's your question?
Well, first of all,
Eat that close. Do you see that? I can't even get my hand between me and the microphone.
I want to say Holly gave me some WHP goodies.
Oh, good job, Holly.
And it's a great place here. You have a wonderful office.
I'll tell you what, not only, and this is Caldwell Banker Select Professionals building, and they're the ones that are behind the beauty here, but honest to Pete, they're great people, and I'm recommending them as a realtor, and I hope that somebody out here listening will give them a call and say, hey, I heard you on the radio, I heard you on WHP 580, I heard R.J. Harris was in your office. I mean, what an exciting thing. But anyhow.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for inviting us all to come down here, and it's a great place, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, here's my question.
Yes.
I do have two wonderful cats.
Okay.
Foxy and Sky.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how I can, I don't have a lot of wealth.
You want to provide for them.
But I want to provide for them. And how can you do that?
Okay, well, the short answer is, and I think Leona Helmsley may have been the last person to try to do this. She tried to leave some money to her dog, and it didn't work out very well. Because we don't allow you to leave money to animals. The law, at least right now, there's no statutes that allow that, etc. So two common strategies. One is to create, for very wealthy people, is to create some kind of trust, and it's one of the trust duties besides vesting the money in some human being at some point. The trust takes care of the animals. But the preferred practice these days is to find an animal rescue or shelter or legitimate animal welfare organization that takes care of or places cats and dogs, and talk with them ahead of time and enter into an agreement whereby if something happens to you, you leave them a certain amount of wealth or money or maybe your entire estate, and they agree to take care of the animals and place them with appropriate foster care.
Now, do we need an attorney to look at that and to seal it or have it notarized?
It probably wouldn't hurt, and also we would want to write your will at the same time to make sure the will takes care of things as well. So I would tell people you don't need me involved until you get to the stage where the animal welfare group says, here's our agreement. Then I would want to see it, make sure it says what they say, and I would want to make sure that they were legitimate. I want to make sure that they're. The other thing is you want to make sure that they're perhaps somebody with a little more depth than just some lady who says I have an animal rescue, because you might outlast them, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So there's a couple concerns there.
All right, and then should I come to see you and then also get my will done?
Yes.
You still have the free will?
And you can still get a free will at weekendappointment.com. So you can't go wrong. You got free stuff from Holly Love. You're going to get a free will.
Wow.
And you got free legal advice.
Thank you so much, Carl.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
All right, who have I got on the line here? Do I have Bruce?
Hello, Carl.
Yeah, Bruce.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
Quick one for you. I was on my motorcycle yesterday, stopped at a stoplight, and a vehicle behind me tapped me from behind, threw me off. Not enough to incapacitate the bike, but there is some damage for $1,000. I had a short conversation with the driver, said, pull over, you just hit me, and basically the guy took off. I did manage to get his license plate number and a good look at him. Did call the police at that time, and I'm just curious. He is not the registered owner of the vehicle, and I'm just wondering if there's any recourse I might have, either criminally or civil.
Yeah, well, first, civilly, you could sue the person who is driving. You just have to figure out who they are, but the registered owner of the vehicle is probably going to know who had their car. Number two, criminally, he's certainly criminally responsible for a hit and run, and the police should pursue that. The police have an advantage you don't, which is they're kind of scary, so they're probably going to go to the registered owner and shake them down to find out who was driving the vehicle. So that way you'll at least figure out who it is. But yeah, they're criminally responsible.
Okay, so at this point, just kind of hang on and wait for the police to get back with me, which they...
Yes, and you have a 2-year statute of limitations to bring your civil lawsuit for the damages if you need to. So you've got plenty of time on that side. The police will probably work this down in short order.
Okay, great. All right, well, if I don't hear anything, I'll certainly get in touch with you. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Let's see, Margaret. Do I have Margaret?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, Margaret. Hey, Margaret, just let me remind callers that the talk line number is 540-0580 if they want to get on the air like you are. And I'm sorry you couldn't make it down here live to 1000 North Prince Street for our hot dogs.
Well, I didn't realize you guys were so close. Otherwise, I would have made it.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to be here for another 45 minutes, hour, so we'll be on the air for another half hour. If you want to get a hot dog, we got them here.
I may try and make it. But, hey, I have a question about bankruptcy.
Yes.
Okay, I'm making my mortgage payment.
Okay.
But my son and I were both unemployed at the same time, and I can't make my credit card payments.
Gotcha.
So, and, you know, I'm barely making ends meet. We both just went back to work after 8 months of being unemployed, and he did not get unemployment. So, like I said, I could only make my mortgage payments and little payments here and there, like I kept the electric and everything on. So, do I need to file for bankruptcy, or should I call my credit card companies going, hey, tough time, you know?
Yeah, you could do that. Here's what we would probably do. If you came in for a consultation, we'd look everything over and then make a strategic decision. Should you go bankrupt or should you work these things out? And it's just going to depend on how much debt load you have, how much income you have, what stage of life you're at, and where we think things are headed overall. Also, bankruptcy sometimes, if you have equity in your house, can be a bad option because obviously you can't just go bankrupt and get rid of your debts but keep your equity. However, there are situations where you can keep some of the equity, and there's also the availability of Chapter 13s to shield equity in the house and allow you to pay your bills on your terms and not necessarily the credit card company's terms.
Okay.
So that's a long answer, but it basically means you probably want to get a hold of us and sit down with one of our bankruptcy attorneys to talk it over.
Okay, great. I will.
That's a free consult, so you can't go wrong.
Okay, I will definitely call you on Monday.
All right, come down and get a hot dog.
All right, thanks.
540-0580 if you want to join in. We're down here at 1000 North Prince Street in the Caldwell Banker Building. Have a good time eating hot dogs. Probably going to smoke a cigar in a few minutes when I get off the air. I haven't drank any bourbon yet today, which I'm very proud of. No, obviously. Well, wait, it is after 2, isn't it? Oh, boy, I probably could have one. All right, Carol, you're on the air.
Yes, hi. We enjoy listening to your show.
Oh, thank you very much.
I have a question for you. I have a terrific son with Down syndrome. He is low functioning, functions as, say, a preschool level. He's going to be 18 soon, and I wanted your opinion on whether we should seek guardianship or what we ought to be doing to prepare for his adulthood.
Yes, you should come see us, and what we would do is we would do a guardianship. We would also probably want to put together a special needs trust for him,
right?
So that you have one, and just map out a long-term plan. And then we also would want to have provisions in your wills to also help fund the special needs trust down the road. The idea would be to create a situation that's as flexible as possible now, but contemplates that, and then this is, as a parent, I can tell you, we all have this problem, which is we're all probably not going to be there forever for our kids.
Right.
And so we have to figure out how we handle that in the long haul.
Right.
Also, different financial vehicles. So I'll give you an example. Mark Virginis, who I had on the air a little earlier, he's the kind of guy I sometimes see people down with to talk about annuities and other financial vehicles that we can use to space out income for supplemental income, etc., for special needs and folks who are disabled. So there's a lot of different options out there. But yes, you're on the right track, and you need to consider doing those things. And it's not too soon to do it now.
No. Now, some people say power of attorney would be enough, and we should not seek guardianship. What do you think about that?
He could, if he's competent to execute a power of attorney, but if he's functioning at that level, I don't think he's capable of understanding what it is, and I think a guardianship is the only legally valid way to do it.
Okay. With that same thought in mind, what do I do with the signature? I know he has to get a state-issued photo ID, and he can't really make any recognizable letters, even though he's worked for years on signing his name.
Right.
What do you recommend as far as signing things?
I think he can just use a mark. In other words, a signature is just whatever mark you can make.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you get a hold of me, and I really want to help you with this one, all right?
Super.
All right, you take care, and I got to go to break because Holly's going to hit me over the head if I don't do that.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye. All right, I'm going to break. Hey, so Mark Virgin has called my attention to this big news down here in Lancaster. The headline, and he posted on my Facebook page if you guys want to see it, Judge nixed her own tickets. Basically, it says a Lancaster County city judge apparently was deciding her own tickets. And guess what? She won them. She won. She just, decided that they were her tickets, and perhaps there wasn't enough evidence to convict her. Maybe there was. But she nixed her own tickets, and apparently a state audit caught that. I can tell you as a general rule, judges don't decide their own cases. In fact, that's kind of a very easy rule. In fact, when you become a judge, and I'm not a judge, so I don't know exactly what it takes to be a judge, but I can tell you that when you become a judge, they give you some rules, and some of them are quite complicated, and some of them are very simple. And the simplest one of all is you don't involve yourself in cases where you have a personal connection. And probably the strongest personal connection to a case would be your own case. So keep your eye on the Lancaster newspaper. I just want to remind folks we're still broadcasting live from 1000 North Prince Street, right above the city here. If you want to come down and have a hot dog, if you want to meet me in person, ask your legal question right here in person, you can do that. Or you can just call in at 540-0580 and ask it on the air. I'm Carl Rominger, if you don't know me, and I answer people's legal questions every weekend here on WHP 580 from 1 to 3. We were blessed. Holly loved to come down here and help us out with this live broadcast, and it's working out really good technically, which is always a good thing. 540-0580. Linda, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. I have a question about power of attorney. My sister and I have power of attorney over my mother's banking, and
Yes.
I got a paper to fill out from the bank that she deals with where they want my Social Security number, an ID type, an ID number, where I work, what my job is, when I was hired, and all that kind of stuff. Do I have to fill all that out?
And the bank wants that from you because you're her power of attorney?
Yes.
Huh.
I didn't think it was right.
It doesn't sound it doesn't sound right to me. Now, I can tell you that a lot of banks are very squirrely, and I say that kind of jokingly, but nonetheless, they are. They tend to be like, well, we need to know all this stuff, and how do we know who she really is, and how do we know? So they may be requiring it, and you have two options. One is to talk to the branch manager where you bank regularly and say, what is this all about, and what do you really actually need? Well, do I have to fill out all this? Or, oh, yeah, what'd they say?
Well, I did call him, and she said, well, we just need this for our records, and your sister didn't have a problem getting it. And then she got kind of, well, I'll send you the form to fill out. I mean, not very nice.
Yeah, the short answer is they don't need all that information, and if you don't give it to, here's what I would do. This is just me now. I would simply say, I'm not, here, you got my name. Here's make a copy of my driver's license.
Okay.
And we should be fine, right? And if they say there's no problem, I'd say, well, maybe we need another bank. Maybe we need a less intrusive, friendlier bank.
Okay.
Now, of course, your only complication is you have a sister involved, and it's not yours to decide completely unilaterally.
Well, it's a little hometown bank, so, they kind of like run the town.
Right,
I
right.
hate giving my license and my Social Security number and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, now, of course, you usually have to give your Social Security number to a bank anyhow, so they know how to keep it secret. But I'm with you.
Okay.
All right.
Called up my bank, and they said, we don't require all that, and it's like, okay.
Right.
Okay. Well,
right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. You take care. 540-0580. Come on down here, 1000 North Prince Street. Claim your free hot dogs while they're still growing. And we got cupcakes, too. I forgot to talk about the cupcakes. There's still some left. I'm actually going to eat some of those. And, Nick, you're on the air.
Yes, Carl. I called you quite a while ago. I had to get out of the Stilton in 2006 because of the police. They were hassling me. So I moved to Highflyer. In 2007, I got sick physically. I was in the hospital in 2007. Then in 2008, I got put in the hospital for 302. And my apartment was still cluttered. And while I was in the hospital, they cleaned out my apartment, and they towed away my car, and I lost everything.
Okay.
Do I have any legal recourse on, I'd like to find out what happened to it, or...
Yeah, whoever took your stuff, obviously it was your stuff, and they have to go through appropriate procedures to dispose of it if they even could. So, yeah, I guess I would want to go back and find out where it went to and then ask for it back. And if not, the law says if somebody took your stuff and converted it, is the word we use, meaning took it to their own use or sold it, you'd be entitled to the value of it.
Okay. All right, I'll have a lawyer call the apartment complex and see what happened to it.
All right, my friend.
All right, thanks, Carl.
All right, you take care. 540-0580. If you've got a legal question you want to jump here on the air and get it answered, I will do that. As you know, I answer questions on the air every Saturday from 1 to 3. So just call in. But today's a little special because we're broadcasting live, so I've kind of got 10 things going on here. Got people wandering around. Sometimes when I say things, they look like I'm talking to them, but they don't realize I'm just talking to the air, which is this microphone. I did want to go back. We had a question earlier about do you have to take the blood test? And I want to remind people that, generally speaking, there's not a lot of good reasons to refuse the blood or breath test in a DUI situation. Now, I can tell you that the easiest thing to do is just not get pulled over. The even easier thing to do is not drink before you drive. But once you do get pulled over and you have had too much to drink, generally speaking, it's going to be in your best interest to consent to the official breath test, the official blood test, or the official urine test. I personally would not usually consent to the portable breath test, but that, again, would be based on my experience and also my own evaluation of my intoxication. Fortunately, when I was pulled over, and you can see that video on my Facebook page, or you can see it on weekendappointment.com, video of an actual stop, I had not had enough to drink that I was impaired in any way, nor had I had enough to drink that I would have blown above the legal limit. Nonetheless, I declined to take the portable breath test because they are so inaccurate that even if you haven't had anything to drink, they can still register alcohol on your breath, which the police can then use as probable cause to arrest you. And once the police can arrest you, they can search your person, they can search your car, they can impound it. So for a lot of reasons, I just wasn't going to go there and give them any probable cause or opportunity. And so my advice is make sure you take the official test. Will there be times when it wasn't in your best interest to take the official test? Yes. Are they rare? Yes. And there's no way to get a hold of me while you're in police custody to get the answer. Plus, if you're drunk, you probably aren't going to relate the facts right to me anyhow. Nate, you're on the air.
Hey, Carl, thanks for taking my call. Hey,
yeah.
Judge who was acquitting herself of these parking tickets, isn't it going to basically be a technicality in the end? Because, I mean, she could have pleaded not guilty to herself, had another judge do it, and then claimed hearsay, which is basically what you can do if you're having parking tickets that you want to get out of, due to the fact that in Lancaster City they don't have the police officer or the parking person actually in court at the time. So she just saving time here by doing that?
Well, that's a pretty good defense. The problem with it is, and I agree with you, the problem with it is she's supposed to recuse herself, so you're right. Her argument's going to be, I saved paperwork because we all know they were going to be dismissed anyhow. The problem is the judge has to stay above the fray, and it just doesn't look good, and so for the appearance reasons alone, she shouldn't have done that.
Gotcha. So in the end, it's just more about the code of conduct.
Course of conduct, and you know what? Here's the next question. What if it had been, something more substantial? Well, the short answer is the police probably would have showed up to know she was actually nixing around cases. I suspect, just like you say, since they're not tracking those, nobody realized she did it until a state audit, when they audit the district justices, picked up that they were her own tickets.
Good enough.
Because usually a police officer, like if I wrote a district judge up, I would usually show up at the hearing and say, well, Judge, you can't decide your own ticket. And when she said, yes, I can, I probably would complain to somebody, and the chief would probably call the president judge. So you can see how this...
I wrote the ticket to say that, though? What if it's an appointed officer in the court?
Well, let me put it this way. The appointed officer might lose the case, but he certainly would have objection to challenge her ability to decide her own case and report it sooner. So it's just a general impropriety. The fact that it didn't result in any meaningful change in the disposition of the tickets, I don't think is a really good defense from the ethical side.
Sure.
But you're right. It's funny. It's funny because this is another one of these cases of a politician or a government official getting in trouble for something that, at the end of the day, probably the cover-up, so to speak, was worse than the crime, or in this case, the crime itself made no difference in the result. Just stupidity.
Right, because she would have known how to fight this thing to get out of it if she wanted to. So.
Exactly. Makes no sense. All right, friend.
Thank you.
You too. Hey, I'm broadcasting live from 1000 North Prince Street here in sunny, beautiful downtown Lancaster. We still got some hot dogs on the grill. We got some cupcakes, so stop on down, answer your question in person. 540-0580. Hey, welcome back. 540-0580. I'll answer your legal questions here on the air. I'm broadcasting live from the Coldwell Banker building here in Lancaster. If you're not familiar with Coldwell Banker Select Professionals, you should be. They're a very good group of realtors. I was just saying earlier in the show that I had been down to one of their meetings. Quentin and Ryan are their brokers and the guys behind this show. They have just an amazing amount of energy. The agents are incredibly professional. And I say that from the standpoint of just having kind of observe them and just be kind of wowed. And I say that, and somebody's going to be like, you're just saying that. I'm saying, no, I was actually wowed. And I know I sometimes go to groups and I meet groups of people or other businesses, and I'm like, these guys are okay, or these guys seem like they got something going on. But these guys they just nailed everything. They're just pretty amazing. So make sure if you got to buy or sell your house, you get in touch with them. 540-0580. Dan, you're on the air.
Hi, yeah. My question is, I was involved in an auto accident that wasn't my fault.
Okay.
There were two witnesses. Now, the first witness said that it was my fault. The other witness said it was the other party's fault. And when the police officer that came to the scene and then wrote his report up, he wrote it up as both witnesses saying it was my fault. Like, he didn't take any notes, and he obviously made a mistake when he filled the report out. Now, what's my recourse?
Well, your first recourse is to ask the police officer to change his report. I've actually seen that done before. You could call the chief of police or his boss and say, hey, this report's inaccurate and here's why. And he may reconsider that. Your other option is to go find the witness yourself and get a statement from them. although it might be uncomfortable for the witness to have you literally walk up to them yourself and say, hey, rewrite your statement, or else, or at least that's how they'll feel. It'd probably be better if someone like me or somebody who's neutral third party went to the witness and said, like a private investigator, and said, hey, I just want to get your statement on this, and got their statement. If it's different than... Go ahead.
My insurance company did follow up and did get a statement from the witness, that was quoted wrong, and he said what I said from the start.
Oh, good. Then get that from your insurance company and give that to the police, and they'll change the report.
Well,
or at least that might change the report.
They said they can't mail the police or give me the copy of the report. And when I talked to the officer, this happened like 6 weeks ago, then he wouldn't change it.
Have you been injured?
No, there was no injuries, and I didn't get a ticket or anything. But what he did is he wrote careless driving on the police report, and so then the insurance, it looks like it's my fault, and her insurance, denied my claim, and then my insurance, after talking to the witness, is denied her claim. I'm just wondering, is there a way to what's the best way to get the police officer to amend that?
Right, is to show him that he has the wrong information.
Yeah, and he said, well, that's what you pay your insurance premiums for. That's let them handle it.
Right.
Yeah, and he remembers who said what to him.
Yeah, he probably doesn't. So the short answer is the insurance companies already have in their hands information that contradicts the police report.
Exactly.
So they're going to sort it out. They're going to sort it out one way or the other. And it sounds like I don't think there's enough benefit to you to run around on this that's going to change things. But I don't know.
I mean,
my thought on
a formal complaint against the officer would.
Yeah, you can certainly do that, but all that's not going to change what the insurance companies have in their hands. It's not going to change what's in his report unless he changes his report. And that's why I said then that may change how the insurance companies look at which one pays for what in the case.
Yeah.
But what's your deductible? You have a high deductible or a low deductible?
It's a $500 deductible, but then I'm worried about $500. Then if I have the 15 my fault claim, I put in for my car and for the other person's car, it looks like
right.
Right.
Well, quit worrying about what it.
Do they mess the reports up a lot?
I hope not. But I wouldn't know. If they mess them up a lot, we don't catch it.
Yeah, I mean.
But I have seen them fixed before.
They don't like to change them.
That's correct. Once they write them, they don't like to change, but I have seen them changed. All right, my friend, that's the best answer I got for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Rick. Do I have Rick?
Yes, sir. Am I on? Hello?
005. Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick, what's your question?
Yes. Hi, I'm sorry. My question is about a divorce settlement.
Yeah.
The settlement took place in September of last year, and the settlement was written up that neither the wife nor the husband would have any right to claims against the other one as long as it was fully disclosed.
Right.
And everything we thought was disclosed in the settlement at that point. But the wife went to buy the house from the husband later on this year. And when she went to buy the house, it turned out that the husband had a $10,000 credit card outstanding, and they put a lien on the house that she had the right to buy according to the settlement.
Right.
So my question is she liable for the lien on the house for his credit card?
The short answer is if there's a lien on the house, it travels with the real estate, but it should have been paid off when she purchased. But because it's between husband and wife, I don't know if they did an actual closing or not, or if she got a new bank loan. But yeah, if it's his $10,000 that's attached to her house that she should have got free and clear, at least without that $10,000, then he would be responsible for it, based on what I'm hearing from you.
Okay, so that the thing that came up on it was that the settlement was back in September of last year, and all this disclosure and so forth was supposed to take place before or up to that date.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now he's, oh, this took place afterwards.
Right. Interesting. Well, but if it took place afterwards, then it's solely his debt that she's responsible for. So she's still entitled to a credit based on that. At least that's the way I'm understanding it. So she probably should go see her lawyer.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I was hoping to get some free stuff from you, but that's good.
No, well, that's what I mean. There's something can be done, which is she can enforce that.
Sure. Okay.
So now you know the answer. You know it's worth it. There you go. You know it's worth pursuing.
That's true. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, my friend. All right, Charles.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's going on, brother?
Here's my situation. I'm a teacher, was a teacher at a district here in Lancaster, and a co-teacher and I both made a mistake. Both did the same thing. I was terminated, forced to resign, and they kept the other guy. Do I have any legal recourse on that?
They forced you to resign? How'd they do that?
Well, they said if you don't resign, you're going to be fired, and they were going to take criminal actions.
Okay. And they kept
the same thing, and they kept the other guy.
Is he younger than you?
Yeah.
Do you think that your age played a factor in their decision?
Might have. I think it's more of a favored son scenario.
Okay. To the extent that age played a factor, you may have an age discrimination claim, but just to discriminate between two people for any old reason, it's probably okay.
Really?
At least in terms, and of course the fact that you resigned, they're not going to want to give you unemployment, right?
Right. That's exactly where it's going.
So you need to fight unemployment. Steve Schneider in my office, or Eric David, or Drew Deo, all three of those guys do unemployment hearings, so you might want to talk with them.
All right. I'll do that on Monday.
All right, my friend. You take care.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, I just want to remind folks, we've been broadcasting from 1000 North Prince Street at the Caldwell Banker Select Professional Building. If you are in the real estate market, you want to get in touch with these guys. If you are in need of a lawyer, you just go to romingerlaw.com or weekendappointment.com, get my contact information. We travel all around the mid-state. If you can hear this broadcast, you can use us. You can use Caldwell Banker Select Professionals. So if you can hear us today, you can use us when you need us. Dan, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey, following up on that guy with the accident where the police officer put the wrong thing in the report.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if he files a complaint against the police. I had a situation where my son was in an accident. The vehicle was in my name. They cited him for the collision and actually put the ticket in my name. And they didn't give him any points. And when I went, when we went to pay the ticket, I realized it was in my name, and I said, I can fight this. And the officer said, yeah, but I didn't give him any points. He looked at me and said it in such a way as, I could have written him, I could have gave him a bigger fine or something like that. I could have charged him with something else. And it kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just go ahead and pay it and shut up. And I'm just wondering your advice for that other guy who didn't get a...
Well said, my friend. Well said. I got to go. I'm out of time. I got you. I think you understand. All right. I'll see you guys next week. We'll be live from the studio.